Welcome back, Iced GT gamers. This is Iced GT coming to you live from Southern California. We're coming back to you live the first time in 2 years. It has been a very long hiatus, but we're glad to be back because today we are going to be talking about Anthem. For those of you who aren't aware of what Anthem is the new IP from EA and BioWare, which is going to be their first foray into the looter-shooter action-adventure genre. It's going to be coming out on PC, Xbox, and PS4, although there is no cross-platform play at this time, at least not at launch. And it is going to be their first foray into this genre, which for some creates some misgivings. But I, for one, have great faith in their ability to create an excellent game in this new genre for a number of different reasons. Reason number one is that they have brought back on the story writer that they used for Dragon Age, for Mass Effect, and for Knights of the Old Republic. And for anybody who knows anything in the video game industry, those were some of the most well-written games, if not necessarily the most engaging gameplay, but the story was more engaging than anything else, and many people love those games. I unfortunately never got a chance to play more than just Dragon Age 1 and 2 personally, but from what I did play, I absolutely loved the story. And to see the same writer back for Anthem right at the helm of BioWare is a great thing. Gameplay-wise, they are handling story in an interesting way, because how can you tell a story in a shared looter-shooter environment where everyone's going out and doing missions all at the same time, or potentially on different missions? And how they're handling it is by breaking up the game almost into two completely separate games. Game one is the aforementioned shared environment where everyone's going to be doing their own thing, going on exploring, going and doing 4-player stronghold missions. Eventually, once we get more details, they'll be going into raids, something that BioWare is calling the Elder Game. And then the second game, the other half, so to speak, is that of Fort Tarsus. This is your sanctuary, your town at the top of a cliff surrounded by a wall, protected from the dangers of the outside world of Anthem, where you will be able to engage in dialogue trees with different factions, with a number of different NPCs, with the members of your crew that help maintain your mech suits called javelins, and they are going to allow you to make choices in those dialogue trees that are going to affect your relationships with those aforementioned people. They are not going to have any romantic relationships. They've come out on numerous occasions and said that that is not going to be the case, but I'm okay with that. I don't need to get my freaky on with some, member of my crew if it means that there's still a good story. And I believe that that is definitely going to be the case. The visuals look really amazing. The game just went into alpha 2 weeks ago, which means that every part of the game that they wanted to be in the game is there and is functioning, albeit not necessarily bug-free. That's what alpha is for. There is unfortunately no idea of when they're going to be going live with any kind of public beta, so keep your fingers crossed that that actually is going to happen, and if it does, then I will definitely come to you guys live with my feedback from that, should it happen. But worst case scenario, we're looking at the beginning of February for any kind of access to the game. They did say that those who have pre-ordered the game are going to have limited access to the game starting as early as February 1st for those who have paid some extra money to EA. That there is going to be a 10-hour access to the game starting a week before the official go live, and that's going to be on February the 15th. And then if you've paid up and paid for EA's premium membership Origin access, you'll get full access to the game at that point. And anybody who hasn't pre-ordered and hasn't signed up for Origin, then that's when you'll get access to the game at its normal launch date of February 22nd, 2019. I am super looking forward to this game. It looks amazing. I've done looter shooters before. I've played Division, I've played Destiny, Destiny 2, and taken brief forays into Warframe, and I love the genre. It's a lot of fun, and one thing that has definitely been lacking is good endgame content. We all know how bad Destiny 2 was, and how their link with Activision and EA doomed the franchise with their, hey, we're going to add new DLC, but it's going to lock you out of content that you had access to right before the patch released. And yeah, that got a lot of people pissed off. There's fortunately going to be no loot boxes or any kind of pay-to-win mechanic in Anthem. They have said that on numerous occasions. There will be a monetization in the form of microtransactions for visuals, cosmetics only, but once you buy it, you've bought it, and you can customize it however which way you want. They did say that there's going to be a color wheel that you'll be able to modify the coloring of whatever mod you buy for your visualization in any way that you want, and you'll be able to use it throughout the entire Javelin, unlike Destiny where the cosmetics are a consumable and you have to have a certain number of them in your inventory to be able to color your entire character the exact same way all the way across. I really hated that about Destiny. I personally did not spend a single dime on Destiny 2, and that unfortunately hindered my ability to play the game as effectively as I would have liked to. I did pay the retail price for the game itself and for the season pass so that I could get the DLCs, but beyond that I did not spend anything on microtransactions, and it was not the greatest of experiences. I got bored with the game after just a couple of months and moved on to other things. Speaking of other things, I'm currently playing Valkyria Chronicles 4, which is amazing. It's a wonderful homage to the original on PS3, and I'm absolutely loving it. I'm about 15 hours in so far, and it's really actually starting to get challenging, which is a nice change of pace. Most games I can beat pretty easily on normal difficulty, and this one's actually giving me a run for my money on normal. Moving back to Anthem. They are going to be having, as I mentioned, no loot boxes. So they are planning on having just the cosmetics be their way of creating additional money for the game. There's no real word on whether or not the DLCs are going to be free or not. I've heard mixed communication in regards to that. Some people saying that the DLCs are going to be something you have to pay for, and others where DLC is going to be free. But I'm thinking that based on their business model, it's probably going to be free, would be my guess. And correct me if I'm wrong in the comments. I'm sure that I'm going to be making plenty of mistakes. Goodness knows, after taking a 2-year break, it's bound to happen. So moving right back along. The game is going to have a number of interesting mechanics in the fact that rather than Destiny having multiple characters and you're locked into that particular class, is that your character is the pilot of the Javelin, and your account can have multiple Javelins. There are going to be 4 Javelins that are going to be released at launch, those being the Ranger, which is a more all-rounder, focusing on precision and marksmanship and skill mastery. The Colossus, which is going to be the damage sponge, not necessarily a tank per se, They have said numerous times that the skills that you can put into your pilot can allow you to perform tank-like functions in javelins other than the Colossus, but it certainly does do the best at it with its retractable shield and its the fact that it has the largest health pool of any of the javelins, at least so far as we know. They've only released limited information about the other two classes, that being the Storm, which is more of a mage glass cannon class, which has high offensive power and very little durability. And then finally, the class that they have released the least amount of information on, which is the Interceptor, which looks to be more of the ninja assassin type, high mobility, focusing on stealth and not being seen by the enemy, as opposed to a in your face like either the Ranger or the Colossus. They've also said that it's going to be the only one of the javelins that has a melee sword, whereas the other classes, for example, the Ranger has the shock mace, and the Colossus just has your generic ground pound, where you can slam the ground and create a shock wave to take out lesser enemies, either from the air or from the ground. Which brings me to the biggest reason why I am looking forward to this game, and that is the mobility. Each of your javelins has a jetpack that will allow you to fly in any direction for a limited period of time, at least until the meter underneath your javelin in the center of the screen gets too overheated, at which point you will be forced to land. There is going to be falling damage in the game, so you are going to have to develop skills to manage your flight time, and you can chain the ability to fly longer by doing things like flying underwater briefly, or by flying through waterfalls that are above ground. And there is a ton of verticality to the game. So there have been some criticisms in regards to the game that the map world isn't going to be large enough, because there's only going to be 10 sub-regions, as BioWare calls them. But when you factor in all of the underwater, underground, and vertical space that they have by making these javelins able to fly as they do, means that the world is essentially 3 times or more larger than you would think, given the actual map space. And I think that that is amazing. I personally love exploring. I love going places and finding things that I think that nobody has ever found before, or at least finding unique spaces. I love being able to go and take screenshots, wide-angle shots of amazing viewscapes, and I just love the freedom that the mobility aspect of this game is going to be giving. There have been multiple people who have already played the game, at least the demo. There were a number of YouTubers who were invited to EA Play, and they got a chance to have a go at the game for about 45 minutes or so, if rumors I've heard are to be believed. And every single one of them has said that the flight has a very quick learning curve, but that once you get the hang of it, it is intuitive, it is not obtrusive, it doesn't get in the way of the combat aspect of the game, and it opens up huge new avenues for how to tackle each encounter by either flying over the enemy or around the enemy to flank. It makes the game so much more engaging when there are so many different options that you can do. In one of the gameplay video demos that a particular YouTuber was doing, EA and BioWare asked when the Colossus comes up to a sentry tower, whether they wanted to see it blown up or if they wanted to see it snuck around. Now, unfortunately, every single person who's done it wanted to see it blown up, so nobody really knows exactly what would happen if you did the sneaky option. But I'm really excited about seeing what those kinds of options would be and how it would affect gameplay. Obviously, you can still completely go around the sentry tower if you want, but there's so much more intricacy in tackling a particular thing in so many different ways that I absolutely love as a concept about this game. So that about wraps it up for today as my initial foray into coming back on the air after 2 years. If you liked this video, give it a thumbs up. If you disliked it, give it a thumbs down. If you really like it and want to see more of Anthem in the upcoming future, please go ahead and subscribe to my channel. I look forward to seeing you again. And until then, take care. I'm IceGT signing off. Have a great day.